Surprise! I'm back in India, downloading wisdom from an entrepreneur who's been incubating startups here since Back to the Future was a new release.
So obviously, Bengaluru is known as the Silicon Valley of India, and I have it on good authority that you are very well known at the heart of that. Can you tell me a little bit about your role within the industry?
It's been a good 30 plus year journey, all anchored in Bangalore in some sense, right?
Meet Ravi, the angel investor and entrepreneur who's done everything from this
We set up possibly India's first ERP consulting company.
to this.
Then set up probably India's earliest incubation center with two other colleagues.
Plus a dash of this for good measure.
In between, I took a couple of years off to do something that I'm passionate about, which is education. Right? I set up something called Science at That.
This humble hero ran Oracle's entire global consulting arm from right here.
They wanted me to leave India, go into Europe or US. I said, rather stay here.
I met with Ravi because I wanted to know his secret. After leading dozens of Indian startups to success over 30 years, how does he know which ones to bet on? His answer boiled down to one deceptively simple word. This is Out of Office, episode 51, Destination India, part 2. Wow, that's a mouthful. Where's my DeLorean when I need it?
I want to touch on something that you said earlier. You painted a picture of Bangalore as a place where there was access to greater opportunity in the professional realm, and certainly throughout the 90s and the noughties that created a lot of opportunity here. And now with remote work, the geographic boundaries are lifted somewhat and access to opportunity expands. What do you think are the characteristics of the people who will succeed in that new frontier?
I believe the only thing that is going to be really relevant is not what you learned 10 years ago, how curious you were to build on what foundation you can start off.
Curiosity. If curiosity is the factor that will be so critical in this new frontier, separating the people who can harness it to succeed and those who stay where they are, how does one measure curiosity?
Well, that's a big project, right? I did something called Science at That, where our focus was how do we build the equivalent of an IQ with what we call as the CQ, this curiosity quotient.
Curiosity quotient. I love that.
So everybody talks about IQ and EQ. I think top of all of that, you meet curiosity quotient. CQ is what should drive you internally. I actually don't need any external factor to drive CQ. If you're curious enough to ask yourself a question and let that seep into you, and you should have the drive to say, I need this answer, right? It's almost the old seeker mode.
There's an alignment with philosophy, right? For some reason, I was thinking about the movie Room at first, which there's a kid who was born inside a single room and he's never left it. I think your point around you don't need any external factors for curiosity to flourish. It's like part of the human experience is so found in a lot of ways. And it also makes me think back, thousands of years ago when philosophers and prophets were asking questions about the world and stumbling their way to try and find the answers to those questions. But to your point, the question matters more than the answer.
Absolutely.
Do you believe CQ is innate, or can you practice and learn it?
It's innate. As young kids, we are much more curious than what we end up being.
Parenting books tell you to expect too many whys at the age of 2.
Right? Why is the sky blue? Kids always surprise you, right? Because they come up with these questions. The number of why questions that are asked is quite high till third standard or third grade. And for whatever reason, it kind of systematically drops by the time you come to 8th. Why is that? Is probably because our education system has always focused on answers. The lazy way of doing this is to ask you 5 questions and ask you to fill up. Actually not testing your curiosity, right? It's testing your
knowledge, what you've memorized previously. And to your point, curiosity is what separates the people who are capable of extending beyond their teachers.
Correct. So it's as though we have systematically kind of negated this whole phase and we have brought down the average curiosity level.
There's nobody less curious than somebody who already thinks that they have the answers.
Absolutely, right? Just like anything else, I think you can train your mind to do that.
Someone watching this who wants to become more curious and increase their CQ because they buy into your belief that this will enhance their prospects of success, what are some practical things that they should start doing right now?
First and foremost, you have to kind of throw away all your indices of assessment, right? Or whatever you had as a benchmark. The second piece is accept that there is no such thing as a silly question, and you're not throwing anything to it. Right? It's just your own thought process and saying, I wonder why. Right?
Yeah.
The sense of wonder is a great thing that we seem to kind of miss out, right? As kids, we have it,
Yeah.
right? So it's not just curiosity that we tend to suppress. It's the sense of wonder that we end up suppressing.
My mind is filled with ideas now, which I knew would happen from this conversation. I would be loath not to mention that you're an angel investor. You've invested in dozens and dozens of companies. So how important is curiosity to your decision about whether or not to invest in a new startup here in Bangalore?
It is to a large extent because there is a distinction that today a lot of the world believes that you are an entrepreneur who's been successful only when you raise money. To me, that's the wrong definition. For me, entrepreneurship is more than the fact that you had X billion raised as a particular. Earlier the stage, the team or the individuals are more. It's not even sorted out whether the idea has a product market fit, not figured out what is the time frame, you're taking a few educated guesses. It does.
Well, in many ways, only a terrible leader would actually refuse to pivot their plan along the way. The best people would, revise based off of new information.
So the ability for you to be able to recognize the pattern and work, I think, needs curiosity. Founder needs to be able to paint a picture. You have to have the ability of people joining you as part of that shared vision. So it's not just curiosity, the other things start adding up. But if you are not curious at the core, I don't know if you can really be a successful artist.
That is amazing food for thought. Ravi, it has been so wonderful sitting here and getting to talk to you. The world could use a few more people like you, Ravi.